All right, good morning, traders. Today is June 6, 2024. I want to thank you all for being here. My SPY pivot this morning is 529.31. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend. SPY and QQQ made new all-time highs. SPY, QQQ, and FNGU are still in uptrends, while IWM and Diamond Dow are still remain in downtrends. Gold and silver still in downtrends, made higher lows and higher highs. Gold closed over the bullish cross over the 17 EMA, while silver closed below a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. USO still in a downtrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing below a bearish trap under the 17 EMA. UNG still in an uptrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over the bullish cross over the 17 EMA. US dollar index still in a downtrend, made a pullback to close around 104.30 area. All right, let's take a look at some charts. Yesterday, SPY made new all-time highs. You can see right there. Got a higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. On the 2-hour, we have a 2-hour uptrend. That would be price on top of the 3. On top of the 8, all 3 of them, all on top of the 17 EMA. So there's our 2-hour uptrend. Let's take a look at the 10-minute chart. On the 10-minute chart, we left the day with almost had a cross right here. They recovered it, and we have a 10-minute uptrend. Again, that would be price on top of the 3, on top of the 8, on top of a rising 17 EMA. Today's pivot is 529. Let me pull that up again just to make sure where I had it set. $529.31. So today's pivot moves up to $529.31. There we go. All right, so above that, I'm a bull. Below that, I'm a bear. So marching orders for today are: look for green erases red. Those would be entries. Now we'll see what happens. I don't expect there to be a whole lot more upside after yesterday's move. Do expect a little cross or a little pop up here, but I'm not expecting a big move, another big move up. I do believe that they want to get to 550 on the daily chart, and I do think that they want to move it up. They have an upside target on a measured move from based on a 2-to-1 ratio of up to 545. All right, so if they bought one risk down here, they would want 2 reward. 2 reward brings them up to about 545. Not quite 550, but sometimes they like to push it a little further than, they like to push a little bit further than where it needs to go. So I'm just saying 550 is the big fat whole round number, and I'm sure they're going to be shooting for it in some way. All right, so we'll see what happens today. Okay, I expect kind of a cooling off day, but you never know. They could make another continuation with it. All right, so there's SPY. Let's go look at QQQ. All right, QQQ doing about the exact same thing, making brand new all-time highs. Higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. FNGU is cooperating. Get another higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. So all 3 of those are still in uptrends. That's SPY, QQQ, and FNGU. Now, IWM, not in an uptrend. Okay, because they made a lower low right here, just barely, but they did make a lower low right here. So they have to break this high in order to become back in an uptrend, or create another higher low and make another higher high. So IWM still in a downtrend. Yesterday's candle was a higher low and a higher high, closing over the bearish trap and over the 17 EMA. So IWM not quite as bullish as the rest of the markets. That's the small caps and the mid caps. Take a look at Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow also in a downtrend. Here's a high right here from the bounce up. And you can see we have a lower low. So that puts it still in a downtrend till it breaks this high, which is 392.37. Yesterday's candle, higher low, higher high, closing over the bearish trap, but underneath the falling 17 EMA. Okay, not a whole lot of strength showing up right there in Diamond Dow. All right, let's take a look at USO. Look at energy. USO still in a downtrend. Got a lower high, got a higher low and a higher high, closing under the bearish trap under the falling 17 EMA, still in a downtrend. UNG still in an uptrend, making a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish cross on top of the 17 EMA. Silver and gold, both in downtrends. All right, they made a lower high there and a lower low. So silver yesterday makes a higher high and a higher low, closing just under the bearish trap, under the 17 EMA. So there's silver. Let's take a look at gold. And here's gold still in a downtrend. Yeah, still in a downtrend. Made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish cross over the rising 17 EMA. So still in a downtrend, in the midst of fighting that off right now. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's take a look at what do I want to look at? Let's look at the economic numbers. All right, so let's go look at the economic calendar. And for today, we have international trade in goods and services at 8:30, jobless claims at 8:30, productivity costs at 8:30, gas report at 10:30 as always on Thursday, and that's about it. For tomorrow, we got employment situation at 8:30, wholesale inventories at 10, got a Fed speaker and then a rig count, and that's it. So there's nothing on the, as long as these numbers don't come in like way out of line, which I doubt that they will, there's nothing on the economic calendar that would stop the bulls, all right? I don't see anything, not on the economic calendar anyways, all right? For Max Payne for today is going to be 532, and we have about 1 2/3 puts for every call. All right, so we could see another put squeeze. We'll see what happens. On the earnings calendar, all right, for today, that's Thursday, Autodesk is supposed to report when they can find their P&L. That's about it. There's some DocuSign. Again, there's some familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. Friday, we got Coca-Cola Euro Pacific. Again, some familiar names, that nothing that's going to move the markets. Not till Monday, if Oracle can find their P&L, we're going to get, Oracle's going to report their $322 billion right there on Oracle. All right, and for the U.S. dollar index, all right, still flirting with the 200 SMA here. Okay, we've got ourselves a downtrend. We got a lower high, and we made a lower low, and then we made another lower high, and then we made a lower low. All right, so still in a downtrend. All right, so nice thing is that it didn't come down and do a bullish engulf and come all the way back up. So they're kind of leaning on this 200 SMA, which is sitting right about here, and you can see they keep kind of poking it, and It looks like they're kind of bear flagging along right on top of it or right around it here. So there's a possibility they hang out here too long and they may make a pass underneath it. So we'll see what happens here with the US dollar index. Now, if they should make a pass underneath it, that would really clear the skies for SPY to jump up to 545, 550. We'll see what happens here, but the good news is the dollar's still remaining weak and it's kind of consolidating on top of the 200 SMA, which is kind of huge, and that would definitely leave the sky open for SPY to get up there. They are showing a head and shoulders pattern. This would be the head, that would be the right shoulder right over here, and this would be a left shoulder right here. So they're showing a head and shoulders pattern. We'll see where it takes us. But right now, I like the idea that for the bulls, I do, that we are consolidating on top of that rising 200, on top of that flat 200 SMA right there. So we'll see what happens. All right. So that's it for this morning. All right. If there's any questions, I'll take questions. If not, again, marching orders are for SPY for this morning. And there probably won't be a whole lot of opportunity in SPY after that huge day we had yesterday. We've had some really nice days. But marching orders are green erases red over the pivot. Okay, green erases red. Now this is the all-time high anchored VWAP. This will mean this will be the new all-time high anchored VWAP. Yeah, I'll get to those. Thanks, David. Thank you. So you can see price is up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Now, this would be the spike candle. That would make this the rubber band candle. Like to see another day up over this rubber band candle over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's what I'd like to see happen. We'll see what happens, but let's take a look at T2122. Thanks, David. And this is yesterday's action on the 5th. You can see we got higher lows and higher highs. Found our way out of the sell zone. Okay. We wound up kind of coming through the buyer's chop zone, making higher lows and higher highs. And when I reported yesterday afternoon, we were knocking on the door to the 50-yard line, which is the difference between the buyer's chop zone and the seller's chop zone. We almost we were knocking on the door to the buyer's chop zone, and you can see we made equal lows and then higher highs, finding our way, chopping our way up and melting up into the buyer's chop zone up here. Like to see this trend continue. I don't need it to rocket up, but if it wants to do it, I'm fine with that. That would certainly help the SPY push it up a little bit further. But all we had was higher lows and higher highs throughout the day here on T2122. T2123, yesterday's price action, a little melting in the morning, and then a constant melting up all afternoon. So you can see on T2122, there is that constant melting up all afternoon that started after the morning session got finished off there. All right, so T2123, you can see that melting up where everything went from red to green. Didn't go up far, just kind of melted sideways. We'll see if they're going to get going here. On T2123 3-bar chart, we put in 3 more red candles. All right, we keep melting down. Didn't melt much further, but we're coming into this rising 200 SMA. All right, when we had it here, it looked like a nice bull flag. Now it's looking more like a pullback. It is hanging out. Let's see if it's hanging out in the upper third. All right, so here's the low, it's the high. So that's bullish for it to be hanging out in the upper third. All right, but I mean, it really looks like it looks like it more wants to come down here than it wants to get back up into quadrant 4. Either way, I need it to stay over the 50-yard line, over the midpoint of the quad lines. Like to see it jump out of quadrant 3 back into quadrant 4. But the good news is it's melting slow, but irregardless, I need it to break trend. Now you can see we broke trend right there. See if that shows up on the 15-minute chart right there. Okay, so there's T2123 breaking trend right there. Not really setting they got like a little higher high right here, but no higher low yet. So like to see the higher low and then another higher high come out of that on T2123. Nice thing is that they broke the trend. All right, but they could resume this trend all over again. We'll see what happens. But we're looking for price action to get some lift from this rising 200 SMA on the 3-bar chart. And let's take a look at FNGU. FNGU, this, I got to tell you, yesterday's rally was brought to you by the FNGU because the dollar didn't move too much. And here's the FNGU. This is the heavyweights in the SPY and the QQQ. And you can see here's FNGU. Started out green and ended green. And it's still continuing even into the post-market and into the pre-market. So that's good news. So they're up. Let's see where they are. They are right into resistance. FNGU is. If you look over here, we're right on top of this. If they break this major resistance, that would be huge. There's nothing up there for prior price action, not in the last 2 years, to prevent them from going higher and higher. So like to see them get up on top of this area here and consolidate. They are consolidating underneath it. That's a good sign in the pre-market and post-market. But I really like to see them get up on top of that and consolidate. That would be really bullish. If they did that, there would be some hope for SPY 550 and SPY 545. So we'll see what happens with that. John on the SPY, will you explain the 2-for-1 target? I apologize. Yes, no worries there. Okay. I'm going to go back and explain that. It's a great question, Chuck. All right, so let's go back to SPY. Okay, so based on, let's see if I can find a cleaner chart. And what is this? This is SPY Daily. Do I want to crash that? Yes, I do. I don't want any of that. All right, let me erase all of that, so I can share with you what I see. All right, so here is anchored VWAP right there. This is all-time high. This is prior to today's price action. When the market buys up, you got 1, 2, 3 straight days of price action moving up. You got this big tail, and it's hard to see. But if we go into, let's say, the 2-hour chart, okay, you can see all of this. All of this got bought up. See this inverted head, this kind of shoulder over here, left shoulder, right shoulder. Well, anyways, all of this got bought up right there. Okay, so we were consolidating up here, 531.50. And we failed to break out, so then we came down. So this is the breakdown, okay? Now they bought it all up. Now the market, just like traders, they want a 2-for-1 risk to reward ratio. So chances are, if the market bought all this up, okay, and they want a 2-to-1 risk, they're going to want 2 reward. And let me just say, they usually get a little bit better than 2. Sometimes they get 3 and 4, as you can see. See, like just like this pullback here, they want a 2-for-1 risk reward. So they'll buy this pullback and they'll get twice as much for it. So I'll measure that off so you can kind of see that. All right, so they'll buy this up on the basis of they're going to get 2 rewards for each risk. So there's all of that. So now I duplicate it and I stack it up, and then I duplicate it again and I stack it up. Okay, so you can see they buy this and they get 2 rewards. Okay, that's a 2-for-1. 2 rewards for each risk. So they buy this up and they get 2 rewards. All right, same thing happening here. That's what I believe anyways. Okay, all right, so I'm going to take these out of the way. So now I'm going to stack, now I'm going to create 2 of these and stack them up in order to get my target. All right, so now I'm going to duplicate that. All right, so we bought up all of this underneath the consolidation right there. So there's 1 and there's 2. Let me pull this in just a little smidge. Now I look, where does that line up? See right there, 550. Now, like when I measured it yesterday, I don't think I was as generous as I was. I kind of measured probably underneath this area here. All right, so if the market sees a possibility for a 2 reward for 1 risk, that's when they're going to buy it up. But they're going to wait till things line up in their favor. All right, so you can see right here, here's the market buying this up. So where would they want a 2-for-1 risk reward? Brings us right up to 548.45, 545 area. So you can see this is where you get the 1 risk unit, 2 reward units. All right, does that help clear that up, kind of, or define it? Just like a trader, when you trade, you want 2 rewards for every unit of risk. Yeah. Oh, awesome, great. Okay, so you can see here's the one. Why buy this up? Unless, of course, you can see an opportunity to grab 2 rewards for each risk unit. So you can see they decided right here that this would be a good risk reward. Buy 1, get 2. The earnings calendar, yeah, I went over that. That's there's not much happening on the earnings calendar. We'll go back to Thursday. Autodesk is going to report. They're $42 billion. Again, J.M. Smucker. Again, some familiar names, but nothing that's really going to move the markets there. Okay. Friday, Coca-Cola, $32 billion. That's the Coca-Cola Euro-Pacific branch or entity. All right, but nothing that's really going to move the markets. And it's not till Monday, and that's if Oracle can find their P&L, because they don't know whether they're going to report in the morning or in the afternoon. And as you can see, again, nothing but familiar names, all right, but nothing that's really going to move the market. So we have nothing in our way when it comes to economic data and earnings data. There's nothing that's going to crush us. Like, if Amazon came out and said, sales are poor, that would really crush the market. Okay, something like that. All right, but we got nothing. We don't have anything, so we got smooth sailing going into. I think it's the 13th. We're going to get CPI and PPI, or the 12th. All right, we're going to get FOMC and CPI, either the 12th or the 13th. We're going to get those numbers, and both on the same day, I think, on Wednesday and Thursday. It's either Wednesday or Thursday of June. But you can see right there, there's nothing in the way to stop us from getting up to 550, except for CPI and FOMC. Now, it'd be nice if FOMC would announce cuts, and they want to do cuts earlier. We'll see what happens. All right, traders. All right. If there's no more questions, I will render my video and we'll reconvene here at 9:15. Set up for the market opening.